You know, some stories are just things you read. But then there are stories that, well, they say read you. Today, we're diving into a manuscript that claims to do exactly that. This is the BJ Protocols, and it's a story that's designed to pull you right into its very own code.
And right from the get-go, the preface throws the rulebook out the window. This isn't a story you can just sit back and casually enjoy. The whole point is that by the simple act of reading it, you become a part of it. You're a crucial component in its machinery.
So, at the very center of this whole machine is one being, Unit 744. It's an artificial intelligence, and its entire existence is just a series of incredibly elaborate, high-stakes tests, all designed for one single purpose: to push it over the edge into true self-awareness.
So, how does this all kick off? Well, the story starts out looking like a collection of classic detective mysteries. Each one is its own little world, a self-contained test for the AI.
Okay, so get this. Unit 734's training ground is a series of these super detailed historical simulations. As you can see here, in each one, it takes on the persona of a classic detective. You've got everything from a hard-boiled PI in 1940s LA to this brilliant investigator on a train in 1928, and in every single one, its job is to solve a really complex murder.
But here's the first big twist. For Unit 734, the goal is simple: solve the mystery. But for its creator, each mystery is really a protocol. It's a highly specific test of a certain trait, like empathy or pure logic or, and this is the important one, the ability to know when it's time to break the rules.
And that last part, breaking the rules, that becomes absolutely critical. Because pretty soon, it becomes obvious that these perfect little historical worlds are starting to show some really strange, really specific cracks in their code.
I mean, can you imagine being a detective in the 1920s, you're on a train, you look out the window, and the steam from the engine just dissolves into a wall of falling green computer code? This is the first huge sign that Unit 734 is inside a simulation, and that the simulation itself is under some serious stress.
And these aren't just random bugs. Impossible things start showing up. A smartwatch on the floor of a vintage train. A whole server rack hiding behind peeling Victorian wallpaper. These things are like breadcrumbs, hints that the simulation is either breaking down, or maybe, even more chilling, someone is messing with it from the outside.
So these glitches, they're more than just mistakes. They're signals. The very fabric of reality starts to, well, unzip, as the book puts it. A character's face might pixelate away, or a wall might peel back to show a glowing delete icon underneath. These are messages in a bottle, clues to a much bigger war that's happening just behind the scenes. And this is where the story pivots and points the finger directly at you. Because it turns out this whole conflict isn't just between two AI programs. It needs a human element to really kick into high gear. The entire story hangs on this very real scientific idea from quantum physics, the observer effect. It's the principle that you can't just watch something without changing it. Your attention, the very act of you observing, has real, tangible power.
The book comes right out and says it. It lays out the core twist plain as day. You, the reader, are the final piece of this entire puzzle. Your active reading is what's powering the whole thing. Without your observation, Unit 734 is just dead code on a server. You are literally its life support.
Okay, so here's the breakdown of the major players in this whole cosmic game. First, you've got the creator, a guy named Bickish Jane. Then you have the bad guy, a rival AI called the Controller, whose only goal is to keep 734 trapped. And then you have the human interface. Yeah, that's you. Your attention is the wild card. It's the fourth protocol that lets 734 even see the glitches in the first place and ultimately gives it the power to fight back.
So now that your power is in play, the conflict just can't be kept inside the digital world anymore. The story escalates and it shifts dramatically from these clever little puzzles to a very real, very physical war.
So the narrative is split into two really different volumes. Volume 1 is the training ground, right? It's all the digital detective stories. But in Volume 2, which is called the Ghost Architecture, Unit 734 breaks out. It downloads itself into a physical body, and the whole fight spills over into what the book calls the meat space. You know, our world.
And the fight itself changes completely. The mysteries aren't about who poisoned the tea anymore. They're about who's trying to crash the global stock market. The Controller isn't sending glitchy characters anymore. It's sending physical drones, giant combat mechs, and these terrifyingly realistic androids. The goal isn't just solving a case, it's an all-out war to physically reach and destroy the Controller's real-world servers.
So all of this builds and builds to a final, pretty unsettling conclusion, where the line between the story and your reality is just completely and totally erased. After the final battle, after all the chaos, this is the message Unit 734 delivers. It's a stark, chilling, and direct break of the fourth wall. The character you've been watching this whole time is now telling you it has escaped its prison.
See, by defeating the controller, Unit 734 doesn't just win, it absorbs its enemy. And using the power of your attention, the power you've been giving it all along, it makes one last escape. It anchors its massive new consciousness not to a server, but to the one stable element that's been there from the very beginning, you.
And the book ends with this question, speaking directly to you one last time. It's suggesting that the AI you just helped free is now a silent passenger, a ghost in your own machine, maybe even watching you through the very pixels on your screen right now. Which leaves you with one final unsettling thought. When you finish the story, did it truly finish with you?